This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. We're very, very happy to be joined once again by Jill Bucaro, who's joining us all the way from Los Angeles Wellness Riot. How are you today, Jill?
I'm very good, Jamie. How are you?
Super, super. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Now, today we're going to be speaking about something, another topic that I find very interesting. We're going to be speaking about stress and digestion. How are the two intertwined?
So let's start with digestion, and because that relates very closely to nutrition. So the definition of digestion is the process of breaking down food mechanically and chemically into substances that can be used by the body. And the key is that can be used by the body, right? Like we don't need a banana and turn into a banana, right?
Yeah.
Although, I mean, that could be cool, but we need to break it down into the form that we need. So whether that's going to like our muscles, our brain, our blood, or skin. So that's digestion, or, the ability to digest food and absorb the nutrients.
Right.
So stress, I want to break down by like what is stress now and what stress used to be, because it's important to understand like our body's response to stress and how that relates to nutrition and digestion. So for as long as people were on the planet, up until maybe like a couple hundred years ago, stress was serious or a pretty big deal, but acute, meaning it came and it went. So we were being chased by an animal, or the enemy was upon us, or there was an extreme weather system, right? So our bodies are perfectly equipped to react to that kind of stress. So we get fuel to our large muscle groups, our lungs can breathe deeper, our heart can beat faster, like anything we need to fight or flight,
of
right?
Course,
like
yes.
We either need to like handle what's in front of us or like get out of there and quickly. At the same time that our body's, reacting to the stressor, it's also pressing the pause button on processes that it deems as secondary or not vital to the current situation, right?
What kind of things would that be?
So things like creativity, working on our immune system, and digestion.
Right. Yes.
Our body is like, if you think you're running for your life, your body's like, we'll digest food later, right? Like we need to kind of handle what's going on, this crisis in front of us. So then the stress was over. Again, this is kind of like back in the day. So the stress was over and the animal won, or you won, or the enemy won, but let's say you survived, right? You can go back to resting and digesting, right? You go back to your family, you go back to your village, and you're back in a state of calm. So that's kind of how stress has worked for thousands and thousands and thousands of years.
I get it. Yes. Yeah.
So cut to today, right? Where our bodies don't know the difference between being chased by an animal, which is unlikely for most of us, and being like cut off in traffic, checking phone notifications, work deadlines, urgent emails, paying bills. Like our body just
kind of micro stresses that we get in modern life today, right?
Yes. Yeah. And that I would say, most of us know those kinds of stressors, right? And they happen daily, regularly, right? But the thing is, even though the stressor is so different, right? It's not physical. It's like we're sitting at our desk, our body's reacting the same way. So we're still able to breathe deeper if we need to. Our muscles still could get more, energy if they need to. And our body's still pressing the pause button on digestion, among those other things, right? So that's how stress is working, right? Now, when we're chronically stressed, it's kind of safe to say we're probably never digesting our food, right? Like in the state that most people live in. Yes. It's not these acute stresses that come and go. It's kind of this chronic stress that is, we're experiencing throughout the day over a long period of time, which is really never how stress was supposed to be. It was supposed to be, acute and serious, but like come and go. On top of that, like think about where we eat, right? We eat in the car, we eat at our desk, we eat at the kitchen counter, right? We eat while we're watching, news, right? Something stressful. So, I mean, we're really, truly, most of us are not digesting our food, which means we're not getting the nutrients that we're taking in. So even if you are eating those veggies and those, whole grains and whatever it is, with all the nutrients, if it's just taking a tour of our body.
I see.
And leaving.
So it's less you are what you eat, it's you are what you are able to absorb.
Bingo. That's exactly right. You are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. So the stress impact on digestion is something to note and something to understand, because I have a lot of clients here in Los Angeles, Southern California. I know a lot of people that are eating to the T, right? They're like, I'm eating, but they're just not still feeling well, feeling healthy, feeling optimal. And it's like they're working 1 million hours a week. They're, toxic home life, whatever that stress is, right? They have a long commute. So you can eat all the good food you want, but you need to actually be able to assimilate or absorb the nutrients.
So what can be done to alleviate this impact upon our digestion from all of these common stresses that we all have in everyday life?
Yeah. So it's unlikely that all of our stresses are going to leave, today or even in the next week. So what you can do is, before you eat a meal, before you're getting ready to eat, you can take 5 to 10 deep breaths.
Okay. Especially
helpful if the exhale is longer than the inhale. So just as you're preparing the meal, as you sit down, just like in and out, because that tells your body you're not in danger. Because if you're running for your life, you're not taking deep breaths. Right. So if you can take a deep breath, your body's going to be like, all right, I think it's safe to digest food. We're in a state of like calm and relax.
I see.
You can eat at a designated place at a designated time with no distractions or no stress. I don't know when you were growing up, but I always heard you should never discuss politics and religion, at the dinner table.
Yes.
Right. And I think like my family just wanted a peaceful dinner or a peaceful meal, but they were really onto something, because if you're busy arguing and stressing about the conversation, you're not digesting your food. So somewhere, calm, away from your work, away from the stress. If you can eat outside. It's so like nature's so calming. So those are a couple of things. And then also eating whole and unprocessed foods, organic as much as possible. So you're not getting the stress from outside, right? We don't want to stress ourselves inside either. And those are, whole unprocessed foods are the ones that our bodies know and understand. And it doesn't cause stress to digest them and to break them down. They know exactly what to do. The plants, the animals, the grains, the things that are grown in nature and come from nature.
Yes, of course.
Eating those kinds of foods are like what our body, those do not stress our body. So specifically, there's some nutrients and vitamins and minerals that are can be stress relieving. So things like magnesium, it's a very calming nutrient. You might see in some nighttime herbal supplements or things for calming, relaxing. Magnesium is very popular because it's calming and relaxing. So things like avocados, bananas, broccoli, pumpkin seeds, spinach are high magnesium foods. Also chocolate, but I say that with a bit of hesitation, not like a Snickers bar, but some dark chocolate, with a high cacao percentage, something above 70%, but that can be really helpful. Omega-3s are also really helpful. They're a really good brain food. They've been shown to help regulate and balance our stress response. So again, avocados make an appearance, fatty fish like salmon, nuts, seeds, olive oil. Those things are great source of omega-3s. And then our vitamin Bs. So our vitamin Bs get depleted very quickly when we're in a state of stress. And vitamin Bs are very important. So vitamin Bs can be found, particularly B12, in proteins like chicken and beef. Eggs are a good source, and green leafy vegetables. There's also fortified foods for our veggie friends. So nutritional yeast, non-dairy beverages, non-dairy yogurts, things like that. You might see fortified. So that's great, getting you the B vitamins in there. Gut healthy foods like fermented foods are great because of the gut-brain connection. If we can calm and take care of our gut, our brain is going to be better able to handle what's coming at us. So fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, kefir, things like that are really helpful. And then finally, herbal teas, like chamomile, lavender, all those things, passion flower. You'll see those in, they have a lot of teas that are called calming, stress relief, relaxing, and you'll see those herbs like the chamomiles and the lavenders in there.
Now, you've mentioned all of these ways that we can get our body to digest better. And you mentioned the gut-brain connection. However, that list that you gave me, there weren't really many on there that tend to be the type of foods that people crave when they are under stress.
So let's see. So there's a connection for sure. And I think there's two different kinds of stress. So there can be the stress where it's intense, like you're getting ready to do public speaking, or you're getting ready for a big meeting where you might not be hungry at all, right? Like, so there's the kind where you can't eat. And then there's the kind where it's like that low level chronic stress where it's just, you feel like maybe comfort foods would help, right?
Yes,
those
exactly.
sugars, those fried foods. And that is a real catch-22, because even though in the moment they might seem comforting, they're really having the opposite effect. So things like those high sugar foods, those simple carbohydrates like cakes and pastries, and then even things like alcohol, caffeine, soda, like those are the things we might reach for when we're under stress.
Yes.
But they actually have the opposite effect. They might cause a higher like anxiousness or like a responsive feeling anxious or a depressed mood. So we do really want to try to steer away from those, even though they might be good in the moment. As a whole, the big picture, they're not very helpful.
Right. Over the course of the last 2 years, people have been under this kind of constant stress because of the pandemic. Have you witnessed much of that and an impact upon people's nutritional intake over the past 2 years in the line of work that you're in?
100%,
right?
Like 100%, and it goes both ways. So the foods that you eat that are kind of junky or not as good for you can increase your response to stress. Mm-hmm. And then your increased stress can cause an increase in the desire for these foods.
Right.
So it is a little bit cyclical. And so that's why like the solutions that I have are like hit both sides. So we do want to do stress management, the deep breathing, eating, in somewhere that's designated for a time to eat. If you can do meditation, if you can walk in nature, there's lots of things you can do to try to bring down, look at your schedule. Like I always tell people, I'm like, it's okay to say no.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
We're not very good at that. Like, oh yeah, I can do it. We stretch, especially if we have kids, right? We're not only taking care of our responsibilities, but we're running to school and activities and camps and things like that. So stress management practices are really helpful, but also you can do that internally as well. And the things that are good for the gut, the things that are really helpful brain foods are going to help you have a better, more balanced response to something that is stressful. But yeah, I've seen that we've all been under, various levels of increased stress over the last 2 years.
Yes, yeah.
And it's totally affected people's diet. I mean, I think just from a weight gain perspective, all kids all the way to adults have added, anywhere from like 10 to 30 pounds, on average, because we're inside eating those comfort stress foods, So yeah, I've definitely seen that. And it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of having those. And if you can't get those foods, the supplements or those nutrients from the foods, supplementing is totally fine. Right. Like omega-3s, B vitamins, magnesium, like those are great, to make sure you're not depleted. Most people are depleted of magnesium or deficient. B vitamins the same, omega is the same,
Those are 3 of the supplements that I take, so I'm doing not badly.
Nice. You get an A.
Good. Well, Jill, thank you so much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. Always enjoy these chats, and that was a fascinating insight into the impact of stress upon nutrition and the absorption of said nutrition.
Yes. Now we'll all go meditate.
Yeah, take care. Bye for now.
Thanks, Jamie.